not muted. Today is looking up. Let's see. What kind of colors do we have in the back here? Just gonna make sure everything's live, and then we'll get some painting done. Ty Gradham, morning. Danny M, good morning. Danny with the host. Thank you so much. How are things today, everyone? I need to go back to the 23rd and catch the in-game name of whoever bought me this beautiful new brush. I now know your government name. Look at this. Look at this. Fresh Series 7. Just the finest. Sadly, I am spacing on the gamer tag, the Twitch name. One thing you always want to do when you get a new natural fiber brush, especially one that's a gift. There it is, Ty Grainer. I had a feeling. I know I sent you one. I think it was that size. It absolutely was. I had this feeling. I just couldn't. I was not positive. So, whenever you get a new brush, they're going to come like hard as a rock. They're dunked in some soap. And you want to make sure you get all that out of there. And so, I'm just rinsing it currently. This particular one may need to be soaked in some warm water. Check this out. I'm just going to crop in for a second. Something that... Yeah, here we go. Oop. Spin this freaking wheel out of the way. Better. Or not better, one way or the other. So... we need words. Okay. Oh, God. We're having a bad morning. So when you look at a brush on the bristles, sometimes there'll be little runaways. As long as they're not split in the end, that's not uncommon to see, the little runaway. Occasionally, like if you're looking at a new brush and you'll see one stray bristle, like not completely sucked in with the soap, it could be because it didn't get dunked or it clipped the casing. It's not a major deal. You just need to soak it in some warm water and it'll relax. And that's true of any brush, synthetic or natural, that maybe starts getting worn out and the ends of it start to run away. If you get not boiling, but if you boil some water and let it rest for a few minutes, you can then soak your brushes in it and it will, number one, the paint will relax out of it. No soap or purchasing necessary. And this guy, you can see, is so sharp compared to my beat up one. I might break this out today. Fresh size 2. Thank you so much for that gift, by the way. It's a wonderful thing to have. There's something to be said about something with a nice sharp tip for doing some work on. Now, I'm very hopeful we'll be able to get this boat in the water here. I don't know what we were doing when last we left off, but I'm thinking... I'm going to set him on here. It's a fantastic holder. Tiger says, well, you're welcome, but I think I'll be getting a lot of useful tips and info from you by watching your stream. So, well, if you feel like that's a trade, thank you so much. We'll try to keep it productive. I think for a little bit here, we're going to stick with a smaller brush. I have not... One thing I've struggled with, if you've been in here for any amount of real time, I've been worried about how am I going to paint these skulls. Now, one thing I want to confirm with the camera before we get too far into this is the depth of field, just because I was using it for photos the other day. And then I think we're going to start to make all of these skulls true metallic. I can't get the bone to where I'm happy with the black armor and the red. So then we're going to change it just a touch. I don't know what color specifically we're going to go with just yet, but gold or copper maybe. We're going to change it up for sure. I'm thinking I need to be more deliberate with it. But I'm definitely in a weird place because I don't know what to commit to. It's hard creatively when that happens. Because then you linger. You look for colors and you can't find them. I got some copper right here. Maybe we'll play around with that. Have you been working on anything fun, Tigrainer? Or for that matter, anybody chilling? Tigrainer says, I decided I didn't have enough projects going on at once, so I started mermaid painting. A mermaid painting. What is that? Mermaid. Why is that familiar? Now, Magazil says, hi, I just joined. Well, welcome on in. How are you this morning? I am struggling with creative inspiration here. I'm trying to figure out how to paint these skulls. I think we're going to go true metallic on them. I'm just committing to how I want to do that. But welcome on in. Tigrana says, May is the month many artists draw mermaids. I guess, okay. I don't know. I wanted to make a mermaid anyway, though. Well, that's cool, though. Working on a mermaid. I know we already worked so long on these little bits of bone, but I never did get them right. And then Magazil says, hopefully I'm saying your name correctly, says, I am okay. Well, that's good. If you're an artist, we like to look at works, whether they be in progress or finished. We're very link friendly. And though I do try to stay on topic, I sometimes ramble, but we'll see what we can do. For right now, we're working on a fallen angel. If you're interested in other things we work on, you can see some pieces in the back here that are in progress. And if you check out my Instagram down below, you can see what else we work on normally. Other questions? Like long walks on the beach. No, I don't know. Yeah, I think this coppery tone is going to make me a lot more satisfied with the piece as a whole. We got Nerd in the room, says, what is up, you beautiful human? Well, welcome on in, Nerd. How are you doing? We got the brush for hire. Oh, up so early. Just so early. Good morning to you. Danny M says, everything is taking so long to get mailed. I need to get some sleep before work. Ugh. Get some rest, Danny. It's tough. No sleep is tough. Brush for Hire says, I got up a bit early, so I figured I'd say hello. Well, hello. Nerd says, still not used to this reverse camera angle, but I do like the new camera you are using, dude. There you go. Thank you so much. We can always zoom in for when we're working on intense things. Brush for Hire says, yeah, Nomadic, the camera's looking good. Well, thank you. Right now, I don't know why I can't get comfortable with these skulls. I think I just don't like the cream color next to the black. I don't know. It's definitely a me issue because it should look okay. But we're pivoting. Quite possibly it's because they don't make sense. And even more possibly it's because it's an old sculpt and it's kind of soft, if that makes sense. I just can't get comfortable with it. Nerd says, camera looks good, Nomadic looks better. I think your painting cam should be smaller cam and your face be on a big camera. Not just being a certain way. I tell you, guy. Alright. There it is. There's a skull. This one here is like they just put a dollop of hot glue on his chest. Like, I know it's supposed to be a skull, but good God. It's not ideal. Tigrana says, ooh, that dark copper. Yeah, this is Rhinox hide with just a drop of copper mixed into it. And I have 3 versions of this on my wet palette right now. And so in some way, I'm going to try to grab a smaller brush and actually sketch in this skull, because it's quite clear I'm going to have to draw a skull, because this thing is not ideal. Tiger says I posted my mermaid whip so you can see what I'm yakking about. Big link incoming. All right, we'll have a look here. Ooh, Squarespace. Let's see. Ooh, see, she got that creepy hand. That's the thing about mermaids. They're always different in the moonlight, I suppose. That's really good. That's really, really good. How long have you been working on that? I don't have a whole lot of respect for how long something like that takes. It's not the right way to say that. I don't have a lot of perspective for how long something like that might take. I have a ton of respect for what it's doing. Brush, here's a question. Are my highlights too subtle on this armor? They're smooth. They're smoother than a baby's bottom. But are they too subtle? As the Spanish painters would say, are we too subtle? I don't know. I just don't know. Hey, you're out of here. You have a good morning. And we'll catch you down the line. Thiginer says, this ain't no Ariel. Yeah, thanks. Maybe 4 or 5 hours total over 2 evenings. That's so cool. We got Glue and Bolters rolling in. Good morning. Good morning back at you. How are you today? Alright, I think we're dry enough. I'm going to go... I'm certainly not going to use my new brush with some metallics. They tend to chew up a little. But I think... yeah, we're just going to grab... well, what I do is I mix my metallics in with some opaque paint. And then we come back through with more of the paint, if that makes sense. Brush says, okay, later for... oh, Brush says, Mini's looking good. Watching on my phone, so hard to say for sure about the highlight on the armor. Robe is amazing, though. Well, thank you. You get on your road, Brush, and I can take some real photos. We can talk about real things. Alright, I think we're in focus here. So what I'm going to do now is, just like when you're highlighting something, you grab a brighter color or try to saturate more. I'm just grabbing something that is more actually the pure true metallic out of the pot. And I'm just going to start sketching in my highlights. If that makes sense. So here at the top, it'll start to get shinier as we paint something with more and more of this resin flecking. Tigrander's saying that ain't no Ariel. Cracks me up. But it's true with her claw hand. Ariel was probably, like, if they were to make one of those big kid Disney movies of it, she probably had some stuff going on. She probably, you could play off the angle that she didn't want to be that monster anymore. Namagazo says it's not morning in Israel. Oh, well, hey, it is morning here on the east coast of the United States. What time is it out there for you in Israel? I'm going to guess probably midday. $1,300, 1p. Okay. Gloom Boulder says, all good, thanks, bud. Hope you're well. Yeah, holding up all right out here. Struggling with how to paint these skulls and such on the model. Oh, there's another one on the sword. Ew. Ew. That's just, oh, thanks. Oh. Allergies are making me sniffle. I'm sorry. We are just trying to edge up these different areas, and then as we work our way to the top, we'll grab like some of this pure copper in here. We can do our most shininess on the edge of the eye rim, bridge of the nose. Same with the other one. Sorry if we're trailing off. But then, as we look at him head on, and I turn him, you can see as it dulls in some way as it gets turned. Tigrainer says, oh, so I went by the local hobby store, right? It was incredibly sad how little they had. I imagine with all this quarantining and closing down of different shops, all of the local gamers have bought it all up, and they can't get new product. My local shop, they'd been doing like order and started mailing things, and they were running some crazy deals to try and help people still buy some stuff, but yeah, people bought up much of his inventory, which is a good thing, for the business, trying to help them survive, but it's tough. Gloom Bolter says, oh man, skulls are so annoying. It's amazing how those little details actually lack enough detail so you help define them properly. Thank you, Gloom Bolters. Nerds pointing out what I pointed out. Oh, asking the question. Yeah, Gloom Bolters, check out this one on his chest. Focal point. How soft is that? It's hard to even see the shape. But let's see if we can, in some way, draw his little brow. Maybe his nose. And below his eyes. Another coat. It's weird because if we don't maintain this, there's no way it'll just turn too shiny, and that won't do us any favors either. I think we can go one further with this. I think we're gonna do something magical here in a second. However, I am missing a very important color. Oh no. Found it. We found it. I'm gonna break out an old trick. If anybody's been here for any period of time, they will recognize. I've done quite a bit of this, so bear with me. Oh, make sure I'm not losing the chat. Tigrainer says the nerd. They've been struggling for a while now. I guess they cut back on most things and rely mostly on magic now. Oh, that's tough. So I'll just have to order things online. I can get brushes in another store. Okay. Nerd says that's the sad part of most shops do rely on magic to stay alive. It's kind of difficult for a lot of smaller shops to clear shelf stock for competitive and stay competitive in price with huge stores. So they reduce lines down. They know they will ship. There you go. Tigrana says, just for fun, I found the two nice brushes I bought myself a few years ago. The Series 7 for ink, Series 7 size 2. What are the odds? Hey, It's a good brush. It's funny that you landed on the same one those years ago. Here we're coming in with a cobalt blue. I'm going to pack this into the recesses a little bit. I'm going to realize that I've talked and allowed the paint to dry on the brush. So we're going to go get some more paint. Pack this in a little bit into the eyes. A little bit underneath here. In some ways we'll use this to pocket into the temple, behind the head. Allow that to pocket up. Yeah, thinking there's a good spot for it to just be a lot. And then there's another eye in here. How are we going to thread this needle? Alright. And then that's the blue. Now I'm going to grab some camo green with a bit of a glaze of it. I'm just going to water it back a wee bit on the thumb here. I'm just going to trace out anywhere I place that blue. Stipple this on. Make sure we're in focus here. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm just stippling this in, tracing along everywhere I placed that blue. It's going to create an oxidizing effect. Has anybody ever heard me use the term, or do you know what copper oxidizes as? What's that particular patina called? Namagazil says all the shops here are closed. We were on full lockdown for 2 months. Now things are starting to open. We need masks, and we need to be 2 meters apart. Yeah, we're on that grind right now here in the States. It's a tough thing to try to get through. A lot of industry is going to be hurting. So you're going to see a lot of things change. Kind of want, kind of need a little bit right here. Tigrander says copper has several patina colors. The typical blue-green is usually the acidic corrosion. I think that is right. And that's what we're going to try and accomplish. We're going to try to make that little verdigris. Verdigris? We'll see what happens. Alright, so here, where are we most in focus? Not there. That is where I want to hold it, though, so let's see. I smacked my microphone. Not ideal. Gloom Boulder says if you take copper and heat it up nice, red hot, then dunk it in salt water, it turns bright frickin' red, which is super neat. I never knew that. Gloom Boulder says that's what it's called, right? Yes. Verdigris. Let's grab the the rock star of this combination. So now that I've gone through and laid down that blue and that camo green, it created this nice multi-layered kind of level up of things. We're gonna try to get a good amount of this. Verdi, Gris, Verdigris. All right. Let's see what we can accomplish here. This is gonna get pretty bright, but it'll dull as it dries. And I'm stippling in a glaze of this. Very fine. Nerd says, I gotta get a new camera. I'm loving this extra detail. Might have to move the Vortex mixer too, unless I want the water cinema or camera effect. That was pretty funny yesterday, Nerd. You should start justifying the expense in like how many busts that you're not going to paint. It's like 2 busts. It's pretty easy to afford when you think about it that way. It's just 2 busts you weren't going to paint anyway. Shine my helmet with the follow. Well, thank you so much for coming in and making that corgi wiggle. We are just building up some coppery patina. Shine my helmet says sick gif. That's right. Who don't like a little corgi butt? The question really must be, what can somebody who doesn't like a corgi butt do for me? The answer is not a damn thing. I'm kidding. But seriously, though, who doesn't like a corgi? Nerd says, right now I'm not painting any busts, right? Like one of the guys said, I have been working on that same bust with no progress for a couple of months. Oh, you work that long? I mean, if just like measure out the cost of a Vortex mixer in things that exist in people's piles of shame. Like, do you really need that new Kickstarter that you're not going to work on? Have you considered not kickstarting it? Have you considered getting a Vortex mixer? If anybody isn't familiar, Nerd bought in relatively... It's not inexpensive. It is an investment. But the Vortex mixer will shake up your paint in just a few seconds to a perfect mixture. But it's hard to justify the expense, so most people don't. And because everybody's acutely aware of what it costs to own a thing like that, we're like, oh, you bought one. Oh, Pixie, good morning. Pixie comes in and says, morning, mate, how are you? Well, I am doing well. I hope everybody else is doing as good as me. And we are trying to add some flavor to this skull. These are pretty fine details here. Shaman Helmet says, you mostly paint miniatures and stuff here, I take it. Yes. If you're interested, down below there is a... oops, that is not where we put the metallics. Where my Instagram is. But while we're here, we can take a look at some of the things we paint. It's just a little painterly exercise on how to do skin tones maybe bring things to life, but also be kind of dead on the other side. And so we have like this light and dark kind of aspect to this vampire. He's pretty cool. Then, whoop, don't mind that. Don't tell Justin I threw his Dark Angel. There's Fallen Angel. We got Drycha here is very rough, but we're working on some non-metallic talons on her. We got Sorsha. Ka-chow. Ka-chow. Yeah, fantasy, sci-fi models. Whatever seems good. We got Robin the Hood. You know. Got this troll. Been working on for like a millennia. Been working on this almost as long as Nerd has been working on his orc. Got him. Ooh, dioramas. What do you got here? Shine My Helmet says, I recently got into miniatures and creating dioramas. I got 2 starter kits coming in, checking out channels and whatnot for tips and tricks. Looks great, man. Well, thank you. Whatever my brain comes up with. If you're on Instagram, almost all of us use Instagram for our art and tips and advice. If you have any questions, I love answering questions where I figured out how to do things. If you're into more sharing what you're working on, we're very link friendly. And we started up a Patreon. We got information coming out on YouTube very soon. I just heard back my friend that's going to be doing the video editing is very much a perfectionist. And so he said, I'm going to start off with like a compliment sandwich. He goes, this is what you did very good. I like your audio. He goes, you did that very good. And he goes into in depth to say, you did exactly what I needed you to do effects and to add this and that. He goes, now, why on God's green earth? And he just started just hammering. Is it in focus here and not there? Why would you ever do this? He's like, when you're filming, don't ever do this. Digitally zoom. He's like, you stop that. Didn't know. I didn't know. But I did a video on how to prep a resin model. How to take it out of the box and turn it into this, for example. And then we're going to continue with the painting process on how to do his leathers and skin tones. So that's coming. That'll be a thing. How to pin. Things like that. Just fundamentals. Simple things that don't typically get explained. I think I'm going to take some fun pictures of him like this, but with like cool dramatic light. And maybe we'll even try to paint it as if that's his actual lighting. That could be fun. Tigrana says a Halo 3 diorama was probably their best marketing in that series. Oh. Halo had some pretty sick toys, like sculpt-wise. Dioramas are legit. Knowing that that's what you're into, these are all very work in progress and just for fun. One of them has been spoken for, but I can't give it to my buddy because we're never going to see each other. So I painted, this is Robin Hood imagined as a fox, if you remember that 80s era Disney movie. He's almost done. I should pick him up and finish him at some point. We got King Richard imagined as a lion. Very, very, very rough. And then Friar Tuck imagined as a frog. My buddy, when he saw it, he could only see Chrono Trigger, and he's like, that's one of my favorite games. I must have it. Anyway, but you could take something like this block of wood and create in some way like a little campfire situation. If he falls, I'll be really bummed out. We could make something there. That could be fun. Namagasa says, I love that movie. Ooh, duh, lolly. Yeah, old. 73. Are you serious? Tigrader said I looked it up just now. Disney's Robin Hood frickin' 73. I would not have guessed quite that old. I remember watching it when I was little. You know, I was born in 86, and it's been out a while, huh? Somebody blowing up my Instagram here. All right, let's grab our brush again. Again, we're using a size 1. And let's hop back into this skull. Let's have a look at it as a whole. Dragonheart 305, what's up, my brother? Good morning. Well, good morning back at you. How are you today, sir? I was born 9/1999. Namagazu. Not to say you're a baby, but you're a young lad. Or gal. Alright, so we got that verdigris style effect here. Oh, geez, Kitty71 here into his house. Whose house? Dragon. Whose house is it? Is it Run's house? It's Run's house. That's right. Okay, so as we're applying this cobalt blue across the recesses of the rest of these skulls, I think. Ooh, let's restart that. Let's first get that basic darkened copper tone. Run's house, yes. Is anybody else thinking about Matt Damon and Dogma when they say it? Is it sad that that's possibly become more famous than the good Reverend Run? I'm sorry we're not really in focus there. Dragonheart says, LOL Tigrainer, old fogies trying to sound hip, you know. 71 and his house don't belong in the same sentence. Tigrainer, you might... I think one thing I've learned as the years have gone on is you do have to grow old. You do not have to grow up. Maybe it's the other way around. You have to grow up, you don't have to grow old. I don't know. So here we are with a dried out brush. Why is everything so dry? What's happening? It must be spring. I decided that I could not get the skull tones, whatever that the creamy color of the bone was to look right. And so we're just, in some ways, trying to work a different tone. I'm just making them cast out of copper now. This is with quite a bit of brown mixed in to create a darker tone. And then we come through with a brighter tone, a little more pure of this copper. I'm just gonna stipple in some highlights here. Do the same thing on the other side. Make sure we're still in focus here. Bone Shooter 87, good morning, Nomadic. Well, good morning back at you. Dragonheart says, doing well, just working and lurking. There you go. Just making sure we haven't missed anybody. Tigrana says, yeah, something like that. Act mature when you need to act like a kid when you can. Truth. Nomagazil says, I work with the elderly and I love them. There you go. Respecting the elders out there. Nerd says you don't have to grow up, you just have to ensure that you're not around people that say, boo, more like that person. If people you value who you are, then change the people around you. There you go. Tigrata says, oh, you have extra reason to be cautious right now, I bet. Yeah, I don't know why that makes me laugh. It's true, though. Alright, now we're hitting it with the pure copper. I'm just going to stipple this in. Back to my friend being a perfectionist. In my video, I talk about the importance of stippling if you're going to brush on primer, which I've talked about in here a few times. And I always say, I'm not a scientist. I don't know why this is the case. I just know that it is the case. And he looked up why and sent me a wall of text. In short, small bristles create a small amount of surface tension. And in that way, we're just gonna... That's better. I got a little crazy with the copper there a second ago. Get this little highlights in here. I'm sorry if we're losing the camera here just for a second. We'll fix it. Dragonheart says, age is a number, trust me. I work with grown men that act like friggin' babies. It is interesting when we talk about childish behavior versus adult behavior, and the thing is, it's human nature that we're talking about is a human behavior. If you talking to a child and you give them, for example, let's just say you tell them some bad news, and some news that's going to destroy them and make them feel like their life has been ruined, that they hate you, and that you're the worst person on the planet. And any child or teenager is going to feel that way when you tell them like they're grounded or something, because they've had a given behavior and that's what it's going to be. Well, it's interesting that if you do that to an adult, if you tell them like they're going to be suspended or something of that nature, they're going to react in a very similar way. They're going to hate you. They're going to lash out. They're going to say all these things. It's not going to be much different at all, other than perhaps the language they use to convey that feeling. So it's a fun kind of experiment to see, like, there really isn't too much difference. Just applying this cobalt blue into recesses again. We got Max and Madria. Thank you so much for that follow. The Magazo says the daycare center is closed. It's a full-scale cycle. Yeah. Bear with me a second here. I think we're running a little bit out of paint. Thinking on this particular skull, a little bit up there, and let's get these recesses. Sorry if I'm losing camera focus here. I'm trying to, or angle. I'm trying to get this brush down here. We got Nasha738 says, good morning. Oh, great bearded one. Well, thank you. We've trimmed quite a bit of the beard off on account of the mask. It is what it is. This thing gets any worse. I live pretty rurally, but if it gets any worse out here, we might be looking at a beardless nomadic. Put a big old point of this up here too. Maybe that could look nice. Alright. Now we're onto that camo green. Again, a little glazed back, because that's the ticket. And we're back at it. Just tracing out that blue, almost all of it erased. Dragonheart says, see, I'm not the only one that noticed the absence of the glorious beard. It's true. It is what it is. Yeah, it was like, it was just too much. Like, it was down to here. It had to come down. I don't know what some of the some people have like a religious attachment to their facial hair, their hair in general. It's like those are tough waters to navigate. I think you for sure shave it, but get this little recess back here. That'll look good. That will look good. Okay. And then catch this here on the blade. I'm not going to go nearly as heavy on the sword. I think the sword would be pretty well tidied up. We'll give it a little bit just to keep things a little bit more uniform. Nomagazo says the Nasher reminded me of Lord of the Rings. I watched it just last night. It's true. I'm Jewish and once married, we have to cover our hair. Huh. Tigrano says, my tank of energy is about to run dry. I'd better get to bed. Day off tomorrow. I'll be able to stay longer then. Well, we'll see you then, Tigrano. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for sharing your art with us. And we'll see you after you've had some rest. We'll be here. Think. Yeah, I'm gonna put a little bit in the bottom of that skull. That'll fix my issues I was having with it. Let's get the fun color. That minty green. The whole reason to do this effect, if I'm being honest. Okay, so we get this nice muted color now. And let's see. Again, little stippling, stabbing gestures here to build up the verdigris. We'll let that dry because it will die in a much more muted way. Yeah, let's come up this way. Get a little more paint on the brush here. And we've got this recess here we gotta not forget. And if we come back over here, you can start to see that things are a little bit separated. I think, yeah, we can start moving around to the front. I think we want this a little more diluted. A little more. Glazed back than it is. Let's try. Let's see where we're at now. When you glaze it back like this, you're gonna have to put more coats to get the even, like the opacity. That's the term I'm after. Get the paint build up to the opacity you're looking for, but it is a lot easier to control in some ways. Like if you're trying to avoid a uniform coverage, which we are, it's a very good way to do it. So small, these details. And the Magazo says, it's so cool. Well, thank you. Now we're just going to take very little bits of this. Again, we're glazed back. I'm just going to attempt to apply it in a few areas here. Further embolden what we have going on. Because this color is going on top of such dark and muted colors, it's going to dry pretty muted. So as I add more and more layers, it will bolden up, and it will carry that vibrancy that we need to get it to read well. So I think in a few places it makes a lot of sense to really start to give it another coat. We got Willbot89 coming with a party of 2. Welcome on in. Thank you for that raid. How's everybody doing? Bear with me as I drink my coffee and try to keep up with the chat. Hope everybody's been having a good day that's coming in. Welcome. Who says, hey Chris, hope you're well. I am holding up all right. I hope you had a good stream. What were you working on? I am not sure how to keep in focus and at the angle. We're going to try and do this skull's interior eye. So bear with as we try to thread between this sword. Just adding a little verdigris effect. It is not getting vibrant like I want it to. I suppose it's starting to build up. I think perseverance, patience, things of that nature. Willbud says, yeah, not too bad. Working on a troll from Malig Mob from the Underworlds. Oh, that's cool. you get some time later, you should get it posted up. We'll have a look at it. It's pretty cool. It's probably pretty cool. Yeah, we're just out here making chemical reactions, I suppose, is what you would call that. Like a verdigris. Namagazo says, is everyone here artists? A lot of people that stop in are either hobbyists. With this particular time window, I'll get a lot of people that watch gaming streams that are just looking to chill out and call it a night. But yeah, we get a lot of artists. Willbot says it's not finished yet, but maybe a whip. Who knows? Yeah, I like to post my whips. That's about all I ever do post. If people are after finished products, they'd be getting 3 or 4 posts a year, you know? I think I'm going to do the whole of this filigree in this color, I think. See that right there? We just made a decision. Oh. Thomas is cool. 122 Thomas, I'll take your word for it. Probably very cool. Welcome on in. Thank you for that follow. Here I'm just trying to get some opaque coverage, gradually build it up. That's a good amount of coverage. That's nice. I like that. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some brighter copper here. I'm going to, not necessarily with the edge of my brush, but in a controlled application here, we're going to try to pick the edges of this out. And I'm going to do the same over here. Why not add a little bit more to the top of that skull while we're at it? Ooh, the bottom could look nice too. Oh, bear with. We're very teeny tiny brush strokes here. I think that works. I think. We have here Dragonheart says amateur painter. Thomas is cool says 40K right. Yes it is. Namagazo says cool. Thomas says my name isn't even Thomas. But it is the name of another streamer. That's funny. Yeah, welcome on in. You can see we paint some other things in here. We got an Instagram down below if you want to have a look at what I paint as a community, what we're working towards. We got a Patreon. We've got other things down there. So down there. For now, just working on these copper aspects. Now, let's see. Little itty bitty brush strokes here to pick out all the little details. And this teeny tiny skull. What's that about? Moving in focus? Don't know. Another coat. This weekend, I think tomorrow night or the day after, it's supposed to arrive. I've got a new stand for the camera that will bring it closer to over my shoulder. I'm excited for that. Just Namakazo says, cool, my name is Nama. Very cool. My name is Christopher. You could possibly know that. It's in the name. Alright, and again, this little area up here, I'm not happy with how dull it is, so we're going to come through with another coat. Try to build it up. A little bit of vibrancy. That happens by layering colors on top of themselves with a little bit of patience. And a lot of persistence. These smaller details, you really need to get bright colors on them if you want them to register. And that's just the truth of it. It's the same thing with eyes. If you're going to paint an eyeball, you need to use like whatever color you're going for. You want to get a very vibrant and pigment dense version of that color, because if you don't, it'll turn out too dull. And it's because they are so small and you have like no time to build it up. And so that's what we're doing here across the brows of these little skelly eyes. We're trying to build up a very rich and vibrant color with very little paint and space to do so. Let's back out here. So when we look at a model like this as a whole, it's like, how are you ever going to notice that little skull? You know? It's a very, very unrealistic expectation. But I get in there and I paint it for the person that might pick it up. Because I think that stuff's cool. We're going to do the same thing on this little tube here. There we have it. And Thomas is cool, says, I am painting Friends of Slaanesh. Oh, that's legit. If you have an Instagram, we are very link friendly in here and love having a look at people's work. So if you would like, please share up. I am just getting some black and white out here. We're going to start sketching up a power weapon, I think. nervous about this for a minute now. Like, what are we going to do with this thing? I think we're going to try something here. Well, you know, it would probably make the most sense if I had started on the other side, huh? You should be shiniest the other way. Thomas says, on my Insta is only pictures of my dog. Oh, pup. I think it's alright. If you don't have any art up. No big deal. A lot of people use, like, Discord links or Imgur or what have you. It's no big deal. If you don't have anything up, we don't got to worry about that. Let's try this way. So now, since we want to go with our shinier points at the top, we can in some way pull bear with. I'm just going to change this track because I don't love it. Bone Shooter 87 says, "Oh, what the heck? I started back painting after a 30-year hiatus. There it is. Let's see what we got." Uh-oh. Is that the right kind of link? We might need a different link. That link is for a channel. Yeah. Try again. Find it. Honestly, should have started with something larger. That's understandable. Yeah, your link is for the Discord channel, not the image. Oh, yeah, that's an attachment. I can see it. I can see it. Ah, it's a dwarf. Love dwarves. Yeah, 30-year hiatus. You back at it. I see the volumes of D&D books in the back. You got the hammer out. You picked up the detail of those nails. Are they nails? It's hard to tell on the sculpt. That symbol that's on the hammer. You even free-handed some detail on the handle. You dotted the eyes. Man, you're getting after it. All right, where were we? We're just trying to create a nice sort of blendy effect here. That's quite diluted. Hang on. A little bit of water left in the brush. Trying things. Yeah, trying. You're getting after it. Thomas dropping that emotes, throwing around that straight cash. Thanks for using the emotes. I like them a lot. I'm just emboldening here. In some way, I think that will look better. Let's try to push that back a little bit. I think it'll start to take shape. And then on the other side, what makes sense? Let's kind of mirror. At least in some way, what we had going on the other side. Now this is just with a black and an off gray, but I think it'll help us block in these colors a little bit. I think that might be part of my problem, is that I need to keep my brush making the very same kind of swiping nature here. Dwarfs are one of my favorite fantasy races. I love me some dwarves. Yeah, this side I did a much better job at this. I'm pretty happy with that. Go. Now that we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty of things, let's get a little brighter white out. I'm just trying to... Oh, it's that song again. What was that? All right. Let's... So, I'm just trying to add in brighter white, brighter gray, in sort of a textured way. Same thing down here. I'm not being super careful about any of this. One thing we are going to do, though, is because I was kind of playing around with making sure I got this lineup happening, we did sort of connect them. If you look over here, they're not, there's some degree of separation. I think we need to establish that over here a little bit. I think that works. Complicated, I know, but probably only complicated when I don't understand how to say what I'm trying to say. Just adding a little gray to the black to try to soften the transition a little bit. Try that on the other side now. It'll look pretty soft initially, but as we add more black to the darker side of the reflection and more white to the highlight, they'll start jumping apart. Dilute this back a little bit. It is very strong. Just a little bit of water into the mixture can allow you to stipple in quite a bit easier. I also use my finger to tap away excess paint a lot. For me, that helps out a ton to keep things straight. It's like I get a nice textured layer up without fighting it too much. And then we're going to do the same down here on the bottom. Pushing that highlight to the bottom and to the outside edges. Same thing down here. If I cut this angle, it'll be smoother for me, and I think it is. That's better. Bone Shooter says, well, Daham, I thought it was Friday. Oh, no. Now you're going to sit there and feel like something's been taken from you. That's tough. Oh, God, that's tough. Now, if only you had thought it was Wednesday, you'd been given a gift. That's crazy how that works. More and more little stippling glazes. We'll let that dry a little bit before we get into it. Same thing up here. Same thing up here. Let's switch to the other side. See what we can accomplish over here. Oop. Make sure we're in a good spot. Bone Shooter says at least it's just work from home. Well, that's something. Now, one thing about working in this kind of rough way is that as you go through the process, you're gonna be more and more careful and become more and more refined. It's a little fuzzy in the brush. And so your texture will still be present, but not as loose as once. And then now I'm just going to be working with my purest and brightest white in the same kind of stippling way. I'm going to actually have to use a piece of paper towel. I like to get a lot of the excess paint out of the brush. Alright, so it looks very bright white right now, and it is. But it's going to get a whole heck of a lot brighter. It'll actually mess with the camera a little bit. Same thing down here, just in a couple concentrated areas. I like the idea of a little scratch here and there. So as I work through this, we're just again trying to reach the brightest points. Up here on the top, we got Ren No Ribs. Ren Momo, how are you today? Originally the Ren Ven. I hope you're having a good morning. As I hope everybody's having a good morning. Actually, while I have this nice bright white out and mixed up, we're coming over here to this plasma. We're going to fix the middle of this. I've been not so happy with this for a little while. Red No Rib says, fine, just experiencing the pain that is tabletop RPGs. The pain? What is the pain? MHDKH Vodka? Not sure how to pronounce your name, but I'm giving it a shot. I hope you're having an excellent morning. Or day. I should say day. Don't know what time it is where you're at, but good day. Welcome on in. Namagazo says, I'm back. Red No Rib says, well, what I mean is, by that is that the only ones that exist are D&D 5th Ed and Pathfinder. There's probably more. You're just talking about D20 style. If you want to play any others, you're out of luck. If you're talking in terms of actually getting people to play with you, maybe. That could be true. All right, let's try to refine, in some way unify these. Namagazo says, boss called, so I need to go. Hey, we'll catch you later. Thank you so much for stopping in. Hopefully we'll see you down the road. Namagazo says, what did I miss? Just working on this blade here. Ren No Ribs hopped in and was talking about struggling to find people to play RPGs with that are other than D&D 5th Ed. This is definitely not diluted enough. I am over here losing a fight with attempting to do some kind of non-metallic effect down a blade before I do the power weapon sparkles on it. But this is not a technique that I do, and we gotta learn sometime. Well, this is wet though. I'm gonna start already adding in my highlights. Red Nerb says, anyway, I'm getting a UV light for the curing resin prints. Just the one I got has been stuck in shipping hell for the past 2 weeks. The company's giving me a refund. That's happening all over the place with the shipping issues. I'm hoping that my camera stand doesn't end up in that place because it's been showing as shipped for a while now, but it doesn't seem to have gone out. So I don't know if shipping's just not updating or if it's sitting in a warehouse somewhere and not actually departing. Which would be a bummer because I want to get it over here so it's much more straight on with the model. Hextread rolling in. Well, hi and good morning. How are you today? Fallen ain't real. Fallen. You don't know. You don't know. Oh, man. This for me is much better. This can be refined. Kick a fisk. I fell. Now I'm fallen and I can't get up. Perhaps ain't real. Listen. The angels that fell might have been the most loyal to the true emperor. I said it. Hextred says I'm trying to afford plastic word bears. I mean Dark Angels, not word bears at all. Cucky Fish says, yeah, Lion needs to show up. G-Dub needs to stop dragging their feet. Truth, truth. I think what would help out the most here is if I actually paint in the pommel of this. Oh, there we go. There we go. Namagazo says, I'm so confused they don't understand any of that. Motor City Ray rolling up. Hello, sunshine. Well, good morning, Ray. How are you? It's almost that day again. I hope you're well, sir, and I hope your weather hasn't been what ours has been doing lately, which is just be freezing and rain. It's been quite the spring out this way. Orthober Studios coming in with a big old 28 party raid lookout. Got wood indeed. There it is with that wood spam. Good morning, Orthober. How are you today? Namagazo says it's hot here. Everybody throwing out that hype. Orthober says doing good and you. Good and you. Yeah, I'm all right, you know. We're out here painting. Living a dream. One day at a time. Thomas is cool says, I am from Holland. Ooh. Some of the best kickboxers on the planet come out of Holland. The Dutch do two things. I don't know. They do tulips. Savage competitors. Cuckafish says, I suppose the real truth is that neither faction was wrong in principle. If you look past the chaos worship BS, the Emperor was a dictator after all. A bad one. Killing everyone that wouldn't follow. That's probably very much true. Dragonheart says, I resubmitted. Wait a second. Orthober says, tonight and tomorrow night, it's going to freeze again. Wonderful Wisconsin weather. Wonderful, wonderful. Dragonheart says, unfortunately, I don't have my emotes because I resubmitted new ones. Oh, yeah. And with the quarantine, their times have been very, very slow on that. Which is sad, unfortunate, because they had just gotten it in a good place. Like, you get stuff approved within a couple hours, and then that changed. Well, since we're painting something pretty small here, let's bring it in. Rico Verhoeven is best in Holland. Currently, Rico's very, very good. Rico and Botter were having a little battle recently before Botter hurt his leg. But it's a heck of a way to win. I think Rico had his number anyway, but... Do you think Rico's going to go into MMA? Orthober says, my man, have a great day and all the chat too. I got to get ready for work. Well, Orthober, thank you so much for stopping by, bringing over that big old party, and I hope you have a good work day. Thomas says, sure, are you from Holland? No. Just a fan. I don't understand why kickboxing isn't more popular in the United States, but it isn't. I watch a lot of Glory and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu matches. I love Jiu-Jitsu. I can't get past the grappling exchanges. They're so good. Okay. It's time to start refining this thing. Doc Holliday rolling in with the fight. Doc's another combat sports fan. Ooh, most of that paint's dried up. Okay, we're going to get some fresh paint. Doc says, yeah. We're just talking about Dutch kickboxers and how they're amazing. One of my all-time favorite fighters, Bas Rutten. Bas Rutten. Very, very good. And he is actually that good. Some people talk some crap about Bas because, was he really that good? Did he actually compete in a time that was that competitive? It's like, yes, he did, and yes, he is that good. How fast his game evolved from purely kickboxing into the pancration style fighting, and then eventually into MMA. Like, had he done any of that sooner, had it been more evolved when he was younger, he would have been even more competent. No, Gazzo says, I go boxing, but I can't now because of the lockdown. I don't know. That's true. That's true. What are you going to do? We're all missing our activities. KD, what is this? That a sorcerer bust? KD, what is this? What is his name? 210-3? What would that even be? You want to see this? You want to see this? Right here. Yeah. Motor C Ray says, I've been doing a lot of boxing, but it's the tapping that slows me down. A little house moving joke. Taping. I've been doing a lot of boxing, but the taping has been slowing me down. Ray, you're out of control. It's a dad joke coming out of you. Dad jokes. Hashtag dad joke Ray. We've been working on this too, in our pursuit of non-metallic perfection. Slow moving, but very good. Doc comes in shame. Shame indeed. Thank you, Affable Moose. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome on in. If anybody's interested, I hate puns. So, if you want to go to battle, let's go to war. I think they're weak. I think puns are the weakest form of comedy. And I maintain we deserve better. Ray says, it looks the same since 2 weeks ago. No, the purple has gotten more refined. 2 weeks ago, Ray. Golly, I was working on it Monday. Suppose I need to be faster. Dragonheart says, what's going on, Ray? How are you doing this fabulous morning? Doc Holiday says, anytime he says this, they take it as an open invitation to use puns to annoy him. People do. That happens. Thomas says, my dog, his name is Moose. Dragonheart, I hope Ray's doing all right. Though when he gets like this, I don't know. I don't think that the colors on the strap are dark enough, so we're going to start with a little bit of red, brown. See if we can't give us enough tonal difference here to actually build up a highlight. That is much better, I think. That's the issue. If you don't have a dark enough color, you won't be able to establish a quality highlight because all you'll have is bright color down there. So we've laid down a little bit darker tone, and now we're going to attempt to establish a highlight. Let's see here. Some of these areas that are really, really fine, it makes a lot of sense to stipple. I use a technique a lot to deposit just a minute amount of paint without totally blowing out all the other colors in a given area. And now I'm just going to further establish that highlight. Another thing that can help, especially in a tight area like this, is to glaze back your colors, which is what I'm going to do right now. Racist puns are not needed. Little jabs do just fine. Ugh. Dragonheart says, glad all is well. Been missing your stream. Hope the family's healthy and well. Namagazo says, Motor City Ray, it's Friday at you. It's Thursday here in Israel. It's almost Friday for Ray. This is the eve of Friday. Motor City Ray says, I'm hoping the stream will be back online next week. My test went well. Then I tried this week and had an issue, so I adjusted it, hoping it's ready to roll now. There you go. Ray is going to be... Oh, goodness. Get this fuzzy again. Ray has a sweet limited edition Reaper model he was showing off on his first test, I should say. Here we're just trying to establish more of this wrap and gesture. Try to bolster this a little bit. It's hard to build up a highlight in such a small space. Thomas says, if gotta go. Hey, have a good day. Thank you for stopping by. And, well, this is going to be an interesting exercise here. Bear with me. Tick, tick, tick. Little marks. Why did it turn somewhat green? That's weird. It's crazy how you learn what pigments are present in a color just by highlighting it. Like adding a little bit of white to the mix. We'll show you like, oh, there's some weird green in this thing. Doc Holliday says to Nomadic, pick my nation for the deck. I'm drafting my World War II card game, Britain, Russia, or the United States. I'm going to say go with the U.S. Speaking of picking the U.S., Tim Kennedy had a post on Facebook about how, like, the question came up, which UFC fighter is the deadliest if you were to throw a brick in the middle of the octagon? Like, who's coming out alive? And Tim was the number one vote. Retired, still got the title. Doc says, strong choice. Stand by, I may need a second choice for the other half. Go, go. If you hear a ruckus, my cat is in an interesting mood and he's adventuring out here. I don't know what it is that makes them more curious some days than others about things that they've been in front of or around thousands of times, but I think maybe the right answer for this is additional saturation, not actually highlighting the color, but just getting it to build up gradually to its natural state. So we're gonna grab a smaller brush. Kim rolling in, good morning. Chris just woke up making some tea and lurking a bit. Well, I hope you've been doing all right. Excuse me. And things are warming up where you're at. Namagazo says, Chris, show your cat. He's a little boy cat, and he does not like to be toyed with. If it was I have two cats, like a little girl and a little boy. The little girl cat is super snuggly, and she would absolutely come and be picked up. But the little boy, he might try to take my life if I went over and tried to pick him up like that while he's in the middle of something official. Like I said, I would, but he's a bit of a grumpus. Actually, Doc Holliday over here is probably the only person I know of that could probably roll in and Yeah, get a hold of. There he is. He's talking about it right now. He's a cat whisperer. If he comes over to me, it wouldn't be a problem. But when he's pacing and toying with things, he's not going to be. Is that starting to register? Trader Legion's rolling in. Good morning, good morning. How are you, Trader? Talk about traders while we're painting the Fallen. This is one of those things where I'm just not going to get to be happy with what I'm painting today. I don't know if anybody ever goes through those mornings, but that is the way it goes for me often than not. Trader Legion says doing good. Hope you guys. How are you guys today? I am failing to enjoy this leather strap that I am painting, but that's me. I painted some verdigris on these skulls earlier, and I'm really happy with them. Namagazo says, I'm okay. I think we're going to get it this time. I think I finally found the shape of the strap a little bit. We're gonna take our time. And build that up. Murder City says to Trader Legions, hello there and happy Friday Eve. Woot woot. I like that it's Friday Eve, but it'll be Friday, yeah, shortly. Okay. Pretty happy with that. Let's roll over here and establish the same kind of tonal variation on the front. Ray getting people second guessing what day it is. What a cruel trick, Ray. Getting people excited about Friday. Are you actually getting to start packing up from moving, Ray? Is that where you're at on your new place? Bone Shooter says I woke up thinking it was Friday. But there'll be No Friday yet. I need some purple. That's what we need out here. We need some... We need a purpley brown. I see a purple. We'll just mix it in. I'm just mixing up some purple in with this brown to make a recess color. A little bit of water in there. Okay, let's see what we can't do now. Too further. It's way too much. Further separate these is what I was going to say. I'm throwing my paintbrush into the board here. No good. The Magazo says... Ray says, yes, I wasn't just punning around the house. Is in the final stages of closing June 15th, so we've begun boxing things up. That's super exciting, Ray. Namagazo says, everything here starts in the evening. I'm Jewish, so we don't have any of those holidays, but we have many others. Friday evening is our Sabbath, so I know for sure it's not Friday today. I think being American, we are acutely aware of many different religions' celebratory days and how they operate because we've got like a melting pot of everybody. I live in Pittsburgh, so we have a very large Jewish community here. So maybe I'm in a little bit of a different case than others in the States. I don't know. We're gonna clean this up a little bit more. Again, it's hard to get things to read. Let's pan out here. Maybe things will make more sense. Ray says, I don't like the term of false motivation, but the military, when we were deployed, we would hype up Thursday as Friday Eve. When we would get to R&R on Fridays, we would wear out our hero shirts under our uniforms to create hype as well. It's always stuck with me. Oh, there you go. Trey Leaches prefers the Krampus to Santa. Trader, are you a Krampus fan? That's a little rough. Okay. Bone Shooter says to Motor City, I'm with you on that one too. Did my 20 years. Oh, look out. Bone Shooter. Veteran extraordinaire. 20 years, that's a full boat right there. All right, I'm going to stop with that. I'm not happy. I'm never going to be happy. We'll have to try on another occasion. Oh, look at that, 7:37. We are way past breakup time here, everybody. Ray, why didn't you tell me? Kim says his Friday's my favorite day. As Ray calls it, Friday. Let's have a look here. Who all's online? Brush for Hire's online. Like me some Brush for Hire. Jan rolling in. Good morning, Jan. All right. That's right, Namagasa. I think I knew that. Well, thank you everybody for stopping in today. I know we're working on a couple pieces here. We're getting this wrapped up. I've got some stuff I'm doing off stream for sure. And thank you, Jan. And we'll continue to make progress on. For those of you that don't know, we're on Instagram. It's where I post almost all my updates. I made this recently. If anybody's interested, I got some merch going. And we're starting up some YouTube videos. And we're over on Patreon. It's all going on to YouTube, so it'll all be free access. But if anybody wants to help support that endeavor, we got Patreon as well. And we're doing a cool hobby box. This month is the first month it's going out. We got some sweet custom Orthober grips. We got fun stickers. We got hobby paint shakers. All going out in it. Again, thank you all for coming in and hanging out with me while I'm painting and keeping me not just entertained, but back in it. We got the Polar Atheist. What a fun name. And yeah, let's take that over to Brush for Hire. If you have those sweet, sweet emotes, spam them, let them know. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right, Jan. What do you know? Oh no. Stickers. What are these? Yes, they're these. That's what we have. From all these fun little emotes.